Welcome back into the shop, you guys. I hope you are all doing well today. We are going to be starting on a brand new furniture project, and that is going to be a Walnut Credenza. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the project. So I'm doing all of the layout right now. What I'm trying to do is match the grain the best I can. What that kind of looks like is, for example, this strip right here is going to be a full almost 8 feet, and you can see that that grain is going to match perfectly because that's just going to be ripped, and then when it all comes together, that'll flow exactly how it is right now. So I have about 4 boards already laid out here. This is enough to at least get started. Walnut smells so good. So now that we ripped these down to 3 inches, we can now actually come back and cross-cut these so that we can split the parts up even more. So a lot of the stock I have of this walnut is a good 9 or 10 inches in width. What I'm gonna have to do is cut these in half, and then I'll be able to glue up the panels for the sides and the center supports. That should work out pretty well. So I'm first gonna rip all these down right about in half. Very quickly, we're now dealing with a lot of parts. I want to label everything first. This whole thing right here is going to make up one panel. All this right here is going to make up another panel. I'm labeling the top side as well as which boards went together when they were, you know, one larger board. It's better to overmark things than undermark. I think that's kind of my approach. The longest piece on this project is about 8 feet long. I'm gonna have to move the bandsaw first before I can joint this because I'm gonna need some room. One thing I'm learning while doing this is that the layout and marking is so important. Like I said earlier, I have each of the parts marked on the sides, but like for example, what will happen is when I cross-cut these to their final length, I'll lose that, that marking. So I then have to put it somewhere else on the piece to then keep track of it. It's a bit nerve-wracking, but I think, just going slow, making sure you're doing it correctly, and not making any mistakes, because that would suck because, well, you don't have any extra pieces. Okay, so I just dialed in my setup here. I got the micro jig, which one of you subscribers graciously sent over to me. You know who you are. I was able to run some plywood scraps in order to just dial in this 45-degree angle. That way I don't have to mess up on the nice walnut. So I'm gonna grab the first piece, run it through, and see how it goes. Going perfectly. So you can see that 1.5 inches with their 45s right there, which will go into there. There are 3 sizes with a return miter. So I think I'm gonna cut these 2 and then those 2. Ah, yes, yes. You guys, check this out. So that right there is what a lovely miter return looks like. It's the 1.5 inch piece and the 4 1/4 piece. joined together just like that, and that grain now wraps all the way around, completely seamless. So cool. So I was kind of messing around with the idea of actually dominoing the 45-degree miters, and then I'm like, why do I need to go overkill with it when I can just do the blue tape method, where you wrap the blue tape, bend it, glue it, and call it a day. So I think that's what I'm gonna actually do. Oh, that's definitely working. Ouch! So, we only have to do this once, and I guess I learned my lesson that the glue needs to set up longer. Let's fix this mistake. That is gonna hold really well and bring that joint together nice and tight. And I think having the boards just like this is how I'd like to have them. I'm gonna go ahead and domino these, and then we'll clamp it up. While that is sitting, I'm gonna actually get going on the tenons. What we're gonna actually do here is do an 1/8 of an inch shoulder on either side to bring this down to a total of a 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and do the layout for these tenons. A fun little trick is using a setup block like this, which is exactly 3/4 of an inch, or you can even use the piece that you're actually working on to set the depth if it happens to be the same as what you're cutting, if that makes sense. So I'll set this here to 3/4 of an inch. You can go ahead and actually scribe this. Now the first pass is really light just to score it, and then I like to go a little bit deeper. And now we'll cut this tenon. The way I'm gonna actually do this is with the router. I can't run this face on the table saw because of this lip. What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is scribe the other 3 boards over there, and also I'll set up the router to cut those shoulders. Now I know I'm going to be acquiring more saws in the future, so I'll probably make a nicer rack or something. It's besides the point. So what I'm thinking here is a Japanese rip saw for cutting in one direction, this small little carcass saw for crosscuts. And this also means that we're going to be able to use our vise here, which is exciting. I haven't used this for actual woodworking in many months. The nice thing about having these shoulders already cut is that we can use those to register our chisel against right here and pare that down nice and flat. Okay, so now with our panels with their tenons on there, I'd like to actually now look at joining some of these pieces together. Instead of doing a mortise and tenon on these, I'll just do dominoes with this. It'll make it a little bit easier. This is looking fantastic. That's 3 pieces all from the same board. Wraps all the way around. I need to disassemble this because, well, the plywood is underneath. Ah, wouldn't it be nice if my workbench was solid walnut? Ah, maybe one day. So the pocket screws. On this piece, which is the very bottom, if you could imagine the doors opening like this, this is the very bottom piece. And it's gonna get pocket holes on all 4 sides. Now I'll set my gauge block here to a 1/2 inch because this is 1/2 inch plywood. I was actually going to pocket hole this whole back part here, but what I realized is that because this panel is solid wood, it's going to need room to expand and contract. In the SketchUp model, I had originally accounted for dado, a 3/8 dado on either side, and you can see that that gap right there is accounting for that dado. So instead of doing the pocket screws, which are under there right now, I'm going to have to cut the dado into here and the other panel before I actually put it together. Get that all tight. What happens is that I'm left with one edge, either this edge or the opposing edge, that is tight, but I can't get it past the domino, over, and then back in. So you can kind of see I can flex it just like a little bit, maybe like 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch maybe, because all of this is connected together. I can't really spread it apart that well. So just, come on, like that. You know, I really need to make a new assembly table for stuff like this. That wasn't too bad. To allow that panel to expand and contract, I'll enlarge just the plywood part, just like that, so that then when the screw goes in here, it actually has some room to wiggle around and move. But when it actually gets secured, it'll still, you know, secure tight into that hole. Alright you guys, so that is going to wrap up this first part of building this Walnut Credenza. I'm super excited to see the finished product with this. Like I said, I haven't done furniture in a long time, probably in like a year, and I'm really excited to actually be doing more stuff like this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more of this in the future. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and also be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on your notifications. That way when I post the second video on this project, you get notified. So with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next one.